Everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality back with you here today. If I sound a little tired, I apologize for that. It's been a long couple of days here this week, but certainly this doesn't help seeing a headline like this. So from April 26th from Townhall.com, after abandonment by Biden, Americans are being killed in Sudan. So I did a video a few days ago about the whole situation there, about how our wonderful president is leaving our citizens behind in Sudan since it seems like a civil war is breaking out there. And he flew in folks to get the people in our embassies out, but of the, I think it was 16,000 citizens still in Sudan, American citizens, he's kind of just shrugged and been like, oh, well, and even this jerk off right here, John Kirby, who is one of the State Department folks, is just kind of like, oh, well, too bad. So let's go through this article and what it says. It already has an update at the top saying the French are doing the job the Biden administration won't do. So what is this? What is the Michael Scott quote? Like, my, how the turntables. But so now the French are the ones that are being courageous and doing something, and we're the ones that look like we're sitting on our hands. So, yeah, let's start there. So Representative Mike Waltz said, this is disgraceful. Once again, grassroots U.S. veterans groups and allies are stepping in to help fellow Americans where the Biden admin has failed. Yeah, because Afghanistan wasn't bad enough. And there's another tweet that he was commenting on from an Andrea Stricker. I don't know who that is. She did say, she must be from Politico since she added them here. Says the French are evacuating American citizens from Sudan because apparently the administration won't get involved. Oh, great. Well, it will only kindly advise on best practices. So basically we're going to send everybody over to Ukraine to have a war there. But when our actual citizens who are not in Ukraine are in trouble in a different country, we're just going to tell them too bad. We're going to have other countries get you out. We're going to just not lift a finger to help you. Lovely. So the article says, after the Biden administration announced last week U.S. military personnel would evacuate U.S. embassy workers in Sudan with no plan to evacuate other Americans living in the country, a number of individuals have been killed. Great. So it says, we extend our deepest condolences to the family. We continue to make clear at the highest levels of our government the leadership of both the Sudanese armed forces and the rapid support forces that they are responsible for ensuring the protection of civilians and non-combatants, including people from third countries and humanitarian staff that are working to save lives. National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications, John Kirby, that was the guy in the photo that I was alluding to a second ago, said during a call with reporters Wednesday morning. So we said this many, many times that the violence is simply unconscionable and it must stop. We've got to do what's right for the Sudanese people. They want to return to peace and security in Khartoum and around the country, and they want to see a transition to civilian authority, and we need to keep working at that. He continued, says during the daily press briefing at the White House Tuesday afternoon, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, who is also an idiot, attempted damage control on the administration's lack of evacuation of American citizens. He says this happens from time to time, and if you look back over the course of months and years, you see military-assisted departures from embassies, Sullivan said. We have placed ISR assets, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets over the land evacuation route to help facilitate safe travel by land from Khartoum to the port of Sudan, and we have started to see a more regular pattern of convoys begin to arrive, including convoys that have Americans in them. Once at the port, then, we are using diplomatic facilities in neighboring countries to help those Americans with their onward travel so that they can safely get out of the country. We anticipate that this route will continue to be available for Americans who are looking to leave, Sullivan continued, leaving it up to Americans to make the dangerous journey to the evacuation route established after embassy workers were evacuated by the U.S. military. Oh, that's great. How would you like to get stuck in a hostile country? Not necessarily that they're hostile to you or your nationality, but there's just hostilities going on, and then you hear from the people who are supposed to be helping you get out just saying like, well, you just kind of need to find your way there and you're going to be on your own. You love to hear that, don't you? And it says, meanwhile, Americans back home are outraged over President Biden's habit of leaving citizens behind. Here's Joe Kent, who did run for Congress in the state of Washington in the last cycle. He's a good dude. It says 43 years ago, the U.S. government refused to leave Americans behind in Iran and took great risks and suffered a tragic loss trying to rescue our people. Today, Biden tells 16,000 Americans trapped in Sudan they are on their own. Yep. Says leaders don't abandon their people. Biden is a disgrace. I couldn't agree more, Mr. Kent. So that's the end of the article, and that's of course an embedded picture of it must have been the guys from Iran. Oh yeah, it is. But this makes me sick that it's like we have our citizens stuck in a hostile country, and our whole State Department's like, oh well, nothing we can do about it. I guess they're just stuck there. But I did read another article, and as I'm thinking about it, I am going to try to pull it up here because I believe it was on RedState that I saw it earlier today. And I'm going to try to talk through going here, but I'm pretty sure I saw something. Here it is. This is the article I was looking for. Sorry, I didn't have that prepared. Oh, let's go look at all the ads. Hi, Van Halen, too. All right, so this article continuing from RedState on the same date, April 26th. The second American has died. Wonderful. It says Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who's corrupt as hell, announced that a 72-hour ceasefire had been agreed to by rival Sudanese generals to allow the continued evacuation of foreign nationals from the country. Okay, so good for them for doing that. What was I looking for on here? And then he's like, yeah, condolences to the family. Well, you could have prevented that from happening, man. I mean, if you made a plan instead of just going, let's get the important people out, but let's leave all the regular people there. If it was more of, we need to get all of our citizens out, then okay, I guess bad shit happens sometimes. But if it's like, we weren't planning to get these people out, and then they died, it's like, oh, and our condolences to your family. It's like, I don't want to hear that. I just don't want to hear that. You effed up. That's on you. Says, although the State Department announced on Saturday that they would not be evacuating American citizens from Sudan per Kirby, the U.S. is facilitating the departure of those who wish to leave the country. They said, we continue to deploy U.S. intel. Okay, that's what Jake Sullivan said. Oh, and that's the same quote from the other article. It says, Kirby emphasized that despite the upheaval, the U.S. is not cutting diplomatic time. Okay, I don't care, and that's the end of that article. Okay, so we know that 2 Americans have been killed because this administration just can't seem to help our own people out. Happened in Afghanistan. It's happening in Sudan, obviously to a much, much, much lesser degree. But yeah, this boggles my mind. And hopefully whoever is the Republican nominee for president brings this up and starts running ads saying Biden keeps leaving our people behind, because this is something that's actually going to resonate with the populace, and especially with independents. I mean, if they see that this is going on and this is the kind of president we have, that he just doesn't give a shit about our people overseas when they're in trouble, that's going to stick with people. So figure that out. Anyway, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.